Imagine your dad abandoning your family when you're just 12 years old, up and leaving, moving across country, marrying another woman, starting a family with her, and just disappearing. That isn't up until you're about 25 and you reconnect via Facebook. Now you have a distant but good relationship. You check in 1 to 3 times a week. But then last year, he gave you the unfortunate news that he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. That's when you told your wife, we gotta go visit him. We gotta see my dad and, just see him before he passes. So you guys pack up, you make the trek across country last October and visit his family. And it turned out to be kind of sad. Like, your dad lives in an area that was pretty desolate, like very poverty-stricken. They live off government assistance. The dad and the wife, they don't work. So it was a surprise. It was sad, but you got through it. You visited your dad, but the whole time it was weird because your dad's wife and his kids would not stop making comments about how rich you were. You were just so rich, and they just wouldn't stop this. And they got this idea that you were really wealthy because they heard that you own a very, very, very small business back home. Now, in the beginning, you were just like, that's not the case at all. Like, we're not wealthy, we're not rich. But then finally, you just let it go because it just wouldn't stop. And it was a very short visit, and that's just not why you were there. You were there to see your dad. Well, then last weekend, you got the unfortunate news that your dad did pass. Then on Tuesday, so just a few days ago, he got a call from his dad's wife asking for a substantial amount of money to help pay for the funeral. He was really taken back because he wasn't expecting her to ask. It was a lot of money. Plus, his dad had told him that ever since he was diagnosed with cancer, he had been putting away money, saving for his funeral so he wasn't a burden for his family. And the last thing is, the program that they're on for government assistance, they actually pay a lot of money for the funeral to cover the expenses. So he was really confused. He said, I'm going to have to talk to my wife. Got off the phone. As he's trying to talk this through with his wife, she calls again. Just like, hey, just checking in, seeing, what you figured out about the money. So he just explained to her, we just don't have that kind of money. We're really just trying to sort this out. We really don't know. And she got really abrupt, wouldn't give them any information about the upcoming funeral, and hung up. So now he's thinking, oh man, I'm either going to have to pay this large amount of money or I'm just going to have to feel guilty for the rest of my life. That's when they reached out to our community for help, and why I'm making this video, even though my voice is terrible. So yeah, first of all, I am so sorry for the loss of your dad, just everything you went through, from 12 on. I'm glad that you were able to establish some sort of relationship with him later on in life. And this is what I would do. I would ask myself, what was I going to do before I got that call on Tuesday? Like, if you were going to give an amount of money to your dad's family to help with the funeral, whatever amount was in your head, I believe that's the amount you can afford to give. And that's the amount I would give. I would give that because if I gave the full amount, I would put my family in financial hardship. I also know my dad, you said your dad had saved money for his funeral expenses, and you also know the government is going to help out. So that's what I would do. I would go with the amount I was going to originally do. And as far as the guilt goes, I believe there's 2 types of guilt that we experience. There's the guilt that when we recognize we made a mistake, we're just like, oh God, I can do better. It's a mistake, I can do better next time, and you just kind of feel bad. That guilt is motivating, and we do better next time. Then there's the guilt that is, it makes us feel like we're really stuck, and we're almost backed into a corner, and we're being controlled. So I would ask myself, what kind of guilt am I feeling? Am I feeling guilt like I made a mistake and I'm going to do better next time? Or am I feeling the guilt of, oh, this feels kind of manipulative, or I'm being controlled? And kind of answer that question. And if it were me, I think I would feel like, this just doesn't feel like the guilt, like I need to do better next time. I think I'm feeling guilty because I'm being backed into a corner. So I would release that guilt because I am a good person. I'm not selfish. This is just like a really hard situation. I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not going to put my family in a financial hard spot because I know he has money saved and I know they're going to get money from the government. Those are just my thoughts. Once I release that guilt, just knowing that I'm not doing a bad thing, then I would get outside, go for a walk, do something fun with your wife, just try to like get rid of it, change your mindset a little bit, distract yourself. Again, just my opinion. Now let's see what the Mind Your Boundary community has to say.